Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I can remind everyone to please turn off your cell phones. The family has been seated and there are about 4 extra chairs. Please don't be bashful. I'll invite you guys to go much closer. You'll be able to hear the rabbi much better. And Cantor, sorry.
내아타 내아타 레아로
From the 121st Psalm. I will lift up mine eyes unto the mountains. I will lift up mine eyes unto the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. Behold, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your soul. The Lord will guard your going out and your coming in from this time forth, forevermore. Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu, our God and God of all generations. Thou governest all things with infinite wisdom and mercy, who guidest the destinies of all of humankind. As a parent, have you loved us and showered your blessings upon us. Therefore, we shall not murmur even when sorrow befalls us. With humility and unfaltering trust, we shall accept your decrees. In joy and in sorrow alike, we praise your goodness and acknowledge your justice. We remember that we are but strangers upon earth. Like a shadow, our life flees away. Help us, O God, so to walk in your sight, that when the few years of our earthly pilgrimage are ended, we may be ready to meet our end with tranquil mind. To thee we look for comfort and strength. One of our beloved is taken from us, and a link is broken in the chain of love which binds us together. Though we walk in the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil, for thou art with us. Praised, O eternal, our God, in all your dispensations. Sanctified be your name, now and forevermore. There's probably no piece of literature that is used more often at moments like this. In the words of the 23rd Psalm. I'd like to believe that King David had something very special in mind when he wrote this psalm. I know that we think that it's used so often because it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, which would be enough of a reason to use it. I learned a long time ago that King David had something else in mind, at least we think he did. What he had in mind was that he wanted mourners. He wanted people who understood the person who has died, to walk through that valley of the shadow of death and not to get stuck in the middle of it. No matter who we are, people that we care about. And I realize that formally, there are no mourners. Our tradition says children mourn for parents. Sheila and Morton didn't have children. Parents shouldn't happen, but it does from time to time. Are mourners for children. Brothers and sisters mourn for one another. They're gone. And spouses mourn for one another. And Sheila's gone. So one of the things that I think we need to always recognize is that when someone like Morton, who has no formal mourners, sometimes people get stuck in that valley, and that's not an appropriate thing for to do. We've got to walk through it, but always keeping in mind And I think we have a special obligation to remember him. Special obligation even when the time comes to say Kaddish for him, as we do for those that we love. And so the 23rd Psalm tells us to do that. We're going to ask the cantor to chant the psalm, and then we'll read it all together. If you remember any of the words, please say them with us.
Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai Roi, Lo Echsar, Bino Dasha Yorbitzeni, Amei Menuchurien Aleini, Nafshi Yeshover. Yanachini v'maglei tzedek leman shema. Bom ki'ela b'gates ha'mavet lo yirah ki ata imadi. Shivtecha u'mishantecha Hema yanachamuni, ta'aroch lefanai, shulchan neged sorai. Ishanta Hashem enushi, osi revaya. Ach tov, ach chesed yudifuni, Yemei chayai, b'shavti b'beit Adonai, le'orech yamim.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. Beloved family, dear friends, there is never an easy way to come to this time and to this place. No matter how old or how young, when we lose hold upon life, and those that we care about, those that we have spent time with, called to that mysterious place. It's not easy. And while I recognize that we are not mourners in the traditional sense, we all mourn in our own way for someone who really made a difference in your lives as family, in our lives as friends. Hard to say a proper goodbye, especially during COVID, because we don't know whether to gather together, whether to be together, whether to hold somebody who is mourning. It's always hard. And so we share with all of you who feel that sense of loss. We hope and we pray that Mort's memory will serve as a source of comfort and inspiration in days to come. We learn how precious life really is when we come to moments like this. And Mort certainly did, because this sacred ground, Admat Kodeshu, this is called sacred ground. This was ground that he made sacred, not just because Sheila is buried here, because he came here to do what he thought was really appropriate, to visit with her, to speak with her. And I don't mean once in a while, I mean all the time. So this little book that Bonnie gave me, she said it was in Mort's car. It's a little book of my American heritage, it's called. And the family asked me to read one of the readings in here. And I think it's most appropriate because he would bring this book here. He would share the contents, whatever it was, and none of us knows what he shared with Sheila. But he did so in the following spirit, and I want to talk about it in a moment. It's called Adventure. Here's an adventure. What awaits beyond these closed, mysterious gates? Whom shall I meet? Where shall I go? Beyond the lovely land I know. Above the sky, across the sea, what shall I learn and feel and be? Open strange doors to good or ill. I hold my breath a moment still. For the magic of your look, what shall you do to me? I think there was a reason that he used this book to share with Sheila, and I think some of it has to do with what it is that we're doing here today. Yes, we're here to remember more. Who he was, what he did. Come to that in a few moments. But we're here to become better human beings because he was a part of our life. No matter how we interpreted it. And he came here, whether one of us, any of us agrees or disagrees, is immaterial. He came here because he believed that there was something beyond this world and that perhaps he will see Sheila again. I believe that that's what brought him here every day. And this poem tells us that, yes, it's an adventure. I don't know what lies beyond this earthly course that we are all a part of. I really don't. People ask me all the time, Rabbi, what's going to happen? I say, number one, I don't know. Number two, I'm not anxious to find out. I've said that many, many times, but I believe it, and it always brings a laugh because I think somehow or other we all believe that. For Mort, I'm not sure that was a laughable moment. Although he wasn't anxious to find out, but on the other hand, he was anxious to find out because I think he believed that when our earthly course is finished, there will be something beyond. And he believed that for he and for Sheila. And while they didn't have children, they had each other. So for Mort, I do believe that death came as a friend. The poem, it says the following. I often feel that death is not the enemy of life, but its friend. For it is the knowledge that our years are limited, which makes them so precious. It is the truth that time is but lent to us, which makes us at our best look upon our years as a trust handed into our temporary keeping. We are like children privileged to spend a day in a great park. A park filled with many gardens and playgrounds and azure-tinted lakes with white boats sailing upon the tranquil way. It's true that they allotted to each one of us is not the same in length and light or in beauty. Some children of earth are privileged to spend a long and sunlit day. For others, the day is shorter and cloudier, and dusk descends more quickly, as in a winter's tale. Whether our life is a long summery day or a shorter wintry afternoon, we know that inevitably there are storms and squalls which overcast even the bluest heaven. And there are sunlit rays which pierce even the darkest autumn sky. The day that we are privileged to spend in the great park of life is not the same for all people. There is a night beauty and joy and gaiety in some of the hours, if we will but treasure them. Then for each one of us, the great nurse death takes man, the child, by the hand and quietly says, it's time to go home. Night is coming. It is your bedtime, child of earth. Come, you're tired. Lie down at last in the quiet nursery of nature and sleep. Sleep well, for the day is gone. And while for Mort, this is truly a friend. The last 20 years have not been easy for him because the love of his life was gone. Perhaps he will be reunited with Sheila. And for his sake, I hope so, because that will make him feel a sense of fulfillment. The other reason that we are here is because you and I, dear friends, have to learn something about people who lived before us. We have to learn about who they were, not what they did. It's just the other way around. We do what we do because of the kind of person we are. That's what motivates us. All too often, we think that the biography of a human being is what counts. I don't believe so. I honestly believe that it is the character of a human being that counts most. Great philosopher Kierkegaard said, life must be lived forward, but it can only be understood backward. In other words, as we unpack who Mort was, that's how we understand what life is about. Because in so many ways, he was a very special human being. And he showed it because of what he did. He showed it because of his loyalty and his devotion. What is the legacy that he leaves behind? His legacy was that he was a kind and nice person. Just to understand that. Did he have idiosyncrasies? As do we all? Yes, of course he did. Bonnie reminded me that I said that to her some years ago, and I didn't mean it with malice. Mort was, and you're all laughing, so you all knew Mort. Yeah, of course, everybody loved Mort and Sheila, because I don't see or say Mort without thinking of Sheila and vice versa, because they really were one. He cared about people. He cared about everybody who's here. And yes, it's true, we can't be together in a physical place, but we're here. And you all didn't have to come today, but you did, because Mort meant something in your lives. He was a baker. And he loved pretzel. Is there anybody here who hasn't had his pretzel? See, nobody raised their hand. We've all had his pretzel. And Bonnie told me I shouldn't say this, should I? I will. He's taking some with him. And that's who he was. He used to bring pretzel to the temple for the staff. I have to tell you, I've been here 52 years almost. And of course, when I came here 52 years ago, Mort was 38. Sheila was younger. We had a Mr. and Mrs. Club when I came here. They were a part of it. They came to events and they were a part of who we all became. And those were very special times. He was a very good dresser. And I had to make sure that I put on a tie today, because if I didn't, and he knows it, he would say, Rabbi, where's your tie? He was a person who loved the temple. He and Sheila came every Shabbat services. Every Friday night they were there. I can tell you exactly where they sat. They didn't sit down front, that's for sure. They sat in the back row, always right on the aisle. They always knew, and if they weren't there, the question is why? He loved his garden. He was somewhat reclusive. That's par for the course. He was a proud vet. We all ought to be grateful for people like him who made life possible for us as it is and as we want it to be. He and Sheila didn't travel very much, but they loved travel. They loved travel because they learned about all the places that they didn't go, so that they felt like they were there. And that's an important part of his life and Sheila's life. He was devoted to his work. He was a numbers guy, CPA. Made sure that other people who don't understand numbers as well as he did would file the right reports at the right time. That's what he did. He was from the Old West Side, as many of you who are here are from the Old West Side. And he maintained those relationships, that loyalty with his friends. He cared about doing right for other people. When so many people came here from the Soviet Union to replant themselves here in Denver, he helped because he knew it was the right thing to do. He had a great smile, and he loved to have fun. He was fun to be around. He appreciated art, softer sides of life, because that's what made him feel like he could give something back. But with all of that being said, and you each have your own memories of Morton, with all that being said, there are two things that I will remember about him. Number one was his loyalty. Loyalty to his friends, to you, his family, the temple, to the Russians that he served, to all of the people that he was a part of in life. He was loyal. And I can't remember ever a time when he said anything negative about other people. That just wasn't who he was. And lastly, this was a man of true devotion. Devotion to Sheila first, because they were real partners. And devotion to her after she passed, because they had such a connection. So I will always remember him for all of that, because what he did and what he tried to do in his highest moments of living will hopefully make you and me, all of us, better people, because he was a part of our lives. It is in that spirit then that we resolve to face our grief without self-pity, but with bravery and integrity, keeping before us forever the blessings that God conferred upon us in this life that he but lent to us for these many decades. And in a world where our most precious goods are perishable, let us resolve to honor our beloved dead by being so good to the living, so kindly, so understanding, so forgiving, so transcendent to pettiness, that in our love for him, we shall hearken to those who remain and who need us and our strength. It be through new relationships and new service to humanity that we make good our loss. And in the beauty of our own lives, erect the noblest monuments to our mourning dead. Thus the beauty of his life shall ever abide among us all as a living benediction. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach. Yishem Adonai Mevarach Me'atav Yad Olam. God has given. God has taken away. Praise be the name of God. Now and forevermore. Let's all say together. the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. The blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember him. The opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember him. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember him. In the blueness of the sky and in the heat of the summer, we will remember him. The beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him. We are lost and sick at heart, we will remember him. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember him. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we will remember him. When we have achievements based on his, we will remember him. So long as we live, he too shall live. He now is a part of us. Remember him. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar etchem b'tzalmo v'zan chilkel etchem b'tavo. V'himit etchem b'din v'natav b'tochechem chai olam. Baruch atah Adonai dayan ha'emet. Praise you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe. Forms us in the divine image, who nourishes and sustains us in your goodness, causing all of us to die and planting immortal life within us. We praise you, God, the Judge of truth. T'agibor le'olam Adonai Rav le'hoshea, v'chalkel chayim b'chesed, v'chayei hakol b'rachamim abi. Somech naflim v'rofei cholim u'matir asurim, v'kayim eminato l'shinei yaf. Eternal is your might, O God. All life is your gift. Great is your power to save. With love, you sustain the living. With great compassion, you give life to all. Send help to the fallen and healing to the sick. Bring freedom to the captive and keep faith with those who sleep in the dust. Praise you, O God, who implants eternal life within us. Thus thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. Clay thou art, and unto the clay of the earth thou shalt return. Spirit art thou, and to the Spirit of God, commit your soul this day. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. It is only the house of the Spirit which we have laid within the bosom of the earth. The Spirit itself cannot die. Here too our dear ones continue in the loving remembrance of those to whom they were precious. Receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our beloved Morton Jerome Kraut. Grant him that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen nor ear has heard, nor mind has compassed it, still it is our sure inheritance and our everlasting portion. Now and forevermore. So I would ask you now, dear friends, dear family, to please rise as you are able, that we might all recite together the words that have been hallowed by centuries of faith, words that have been glorified in our tradition. Words of the cottage prayer, and we do so because we recognize that there are no formal mornings here to speak these words. So we do that as people who dare to do that. Yitkadal, Yitkadal, Shmirabal. The Almighty Brach, you say, the Amrit Master. I will go on the only phone. I wait the whole baseless soil. Agalau Bisman Kari Yimurome. Yehi Shemera Gomavara. Leolam Mulio Meo Maya. Yitvarach Vishtabach. Yitvahar Vishramam Vishnase. Yitadar Yitalev Yitalal. Shmei the Kucha Barichu. Leilo Min Kol Birchata. Shishurata. Tushbehata V'nechemata. Damiran V'alma V'yimuru Amen. Ve'ei Shalama Lava Min Shemaya V'chayim. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. Yimuru Amen. Ose Shalom V'nama. Yirah Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael.
Malirachamim, Shochem Amramim, Mamkei Menucha Nechona, Lachotan Shem, Hashchina. Im kedoshim odorim kezarakia mazi et nishma shelach hayolamo. Yasireu beseto knafo leolami Yitor bibur hachayim et nishmato Adonai nachalato Ve'yanua Beshalom Hamishkavo Inomo. Amen.
God full of compassion, through the spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence. Morton Jerome has entered into eternity. God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence. And let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. And all his possessions, repose, and peace. Hearted whom we now remember has been called unto the peace of life eternal. He shall still live on earth in the acts of goodness he has performed. In the hearts of those who will ever cherish his memory, we pray that the beauty of his life will abide among us all as a living and loving benediction. And may the source of peace send peace unto all you mourn. And may God comfort all the bereaved among us, among Israel, and all the nations and families of earth. And let us say together. Lech Mishalach Adonai. Go your way, for God has called you. Lech Adonai Yehimah. Go your way, and may God be with you. Alach lefanecha tzidkecha kavod Adonai yaseh. May your righteousness go before you. The glory of God receive you. Let us all say together.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our service. We don't have any Shiva, so you're welcome to spend a little bit of time here, but not too much time in the cemetery. We'll want to come in and complete the burial process. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much for your attendance.